Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
In our next half hour, we'll head to the mean streets of Culver City, California for an episode of Night Watch. But let's start off this hour of classic radio theater with Wyatt Cox with an episode of Have Gun Will Travel starring John Dehner as Paladin. This goes back to April 12, 1959, The Colonel and the Lady.
I'll make it real plain for you, mister. I came here to find a girl. And you're not leaving this room until you tell me where she is.
Have Gun Will Travel. Starring Mr. John Dehner as Paladin. San Francisco, 1875. The Carlton Hotel, headquarters of the man called Paladin.
Mr. Paladin. Your cigars, your tickets for theater tonight, and your newspapers.
Oh, thank you, hey boy. Now then,
I would read the Sacramento Bee if I were you, Mr. Paladin.
Oh? Why would you do that, hey boy?
Because I already read. It's on page 1.
Oh? Where?
There.
Oh. Wanted. Man with investigative ability, tact, perseverance for possibly hazardous mission.
He saw, you see?
Should be former Army officer. Rather exacting demands, hey boy.
Oh, no, sir. Like it written just for you.
Communicate Colonel H.P. Lathrop, River Acres, Sacramento, California.
You know this colonel, Mr. Paladin?
No, but I think I'd like to meet him.
I should send him wire saying you are investigative and tactive and perservative.
No, never mind that, hey boy. Just say, Have Gun Will Travel. Colonel H.P. Lathrop, River Acres, Sacramento, California. The home was even more impressive than the address. A barefooted Indian servant girl admitted me and led me down a long hallway and left me standing in a waiting room, which was dwarfed by a giant coat of arms.
Mr. Paladin?
Yes.
Colonel Lathrop. Happy to know you, sir.
And you, sir.
I see you've noticed my family coat of arms.
I could hardly not notice it, Colonel.
If pride of family be a sin, sir, then I'm guilty. I'm proud of my family heritage.
I'm certain you have every reason to be proud, Colonel.
I trust you'll bear that in mind when you attend to the mission I've been contemplating for you. Oh, I've heard of you, Mr. Paladin. I placed that ad hoping you would answer it. I need a man who is able... Oh, Martha, my dear.
I'm sorry. I didn't know we had visitors.
This is Mr. Paladin, my dear.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mrs. Lathrop?
Please forgive me. Pablo's very ill. I must hurry now. You'll be with us for dinner, Mr. Paladin?
Well,
of course he will.
How nice. Excuse me now.
The eternal nurse. My wife's always ministering to the sick, the lame, and the lazy.
Colonel, what is it you wish of me?
Before we discuss business, you must refresh yourself. Tuolumne.
Yes, Colonel Lathrop.
Take Mr. Paladin's bag to his room. Draw his bath. You've plenty of time for a bath, sir. We dine at 8. Brandy? A cigar?
Yes, thank you, Colonel.
You're probably anxious to know why you're here.
I am.
I'm not certain my wife will approve of my reasons for contacting you.
I approve of you, my dear. That's enough.
Why am I here, Colonel?
I want you to locate a woman for me, Mr. Paladin. A woman named Gloria Morgan.
Yes, I've heard the name.
And then you've also heard of Lodestar, Nevada.
Yes.
You've heard of it, I'm sure, my dear.
Possibly I have. I can't say one way or the other.
During the silver boom, it was a roaring mining camp.
Was it? May I pour you more brandy, Mr. Paladin?
No, thank you.
Gloria Morgan was reigning queen of the Tenderloin district there until the boom was over. Then she disappeared.
And your interest in locating her, Colonel?
She's a missing chapter in a history I'm writing about the West.
Heavens. Is she so important you have to hire Mr. Paladin to find her, Colonel?
Essential, my dear. I'm a stickler for exactness. I must meet her and know what she's like. I know that a gun battle was once fought for her favors. I know that her beauty and her fame were known throughout the camps. I know she imperiled hearts and lives with a smile. And what I don't know is whether she still lives or not. And I must know.
Why don't you look into this matter yourself?
I regret, Mr. Paladin, that I'm not physically up to it. You'll take the job?
Yes. Yes, I will. I'd like to meet her, too. It was a curious mission, searching for a dance hall queen. But no more curious than the man who instituted it, or the reasons he gave for wanting Gloria Morgan located. There were other people who had different ideas.
I come to your room to warn you. Do not go to Lodestar. Colonel is a monster. He like to hurt people. He is torturer.
Well, who is he torturing?
His wife. He has been stabbing her with that name, Gloria Morgan. I think she his sweetheart once. He want to find her, bring her here.
He told me he never laid eyes on the woman.
He tell lie.
Perhaps, but then I'm paid to locate Gloria Morgan.
If you do, if you bring her back here, I kill you.
Ooh.
Welcome to Lodestar. Would you like a room?
A room and some information.
Yes, sir. Room 33. Can you sign here, please?
All right.
Now, what was the information you wanted?
Well, I'm trying to locate a lady of some repute named Gloria Morgan.
I haven't got an empty room.
The key to 33, please.
It's filled.
The key.
All right. Well, you ain't gonna get nowhere around Lodestar looking for the likes of her.
Bartender, I want a bottle.
I'm out of it.
I haven't named it yet.
Whatever it is, we ain't got it here, mister.
All right.
Hey!
I'll get it myself.
I heard you was kind of frisky and quick.
I am. She must have been quite a lady.
What lady?
Oh, did I say lady?
Yeah.
The slip of the tongue. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure she was a lady, judging by the things I've heard of her.
You the one called Paladin?
Yeah.
Move on, Maisie.
Shut up. I can talk to him if I wanna. You've been asking about Gloria Morgan, ain't you? Well, I knew her. I worked with her. Roomed with her once. How about some of that? Huh?
My pleasure. Where can I find Gloria Morgan?
I don't know where little Gloria is. But I can tell you where I wish she was.
Oh?
My man left me when he saw her. That's what. For all around good look, she couldn't hold a candle to me.
Maisie.
Oh, Mr. Summers.
Get out of here, Maisie. Go on.
Yes, sir.
Stay where you are, Maisie.
My name is Clay Summers, Paladin. Don't reach for the gun. Now let's go.
It would appear I have no choice, Mr. Summers.
That's right, you don't. Come on. your horse?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just take your gun. Now, Paladin, you show your face in Lodestar again, I'll kill you with your own gun. There'll be no fair fight. I'll ambush you. All right, mount up. Now ride out.
April 12, 1959, Have Gun Will Travel on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Have Gun Will Travel, The Colonel and the Lady. This episode, April 12, 1959.
I rode as ordered. But by nightfall, I was back in Lodestar, ready to meet the man who had threatened to shoot me on sight. He seemed genuinely surprised to see me again when I appeared at his office. Hold it.
I told you.
I know what you told me, Mr. Summers. Now I'm telling you. This is a derringer. Sit down, please.
What do you want?
My gun, for one thing. It's a fine weapon. I just couldn't leave it behind. Where is it?
Laying over there.
Wow.
Keep your hands off that picture.
That lady is lovely. The Gloria Morgan?
Put that picture down.
I don't want the picture, Mrs. Summers, but I want to talk about her. You must have been very fond of her. I don't understand how a woman like her rates your loyalty, why men will kill for her. She was filth. She was a cheat, a liar, and a thief, and worse. I know that for a fact.
You know nothing, Paladin.
Then what is the truth?
She was all things to all men. She was saint or devil or whatever.
I understand there was a gun battle fought for her favors.
Not for her favors. For her hand in marriage.
Oh.
I suppose the other fella had as much right to court her as I did.
You?
But it was a good fight and a fair one. When it was all over, we were both near death.
And Gloria Morgan?
Well, she told us that she loved neither one of us. And she went away. All I have left of her is that picture. I don't know where she is now. I can't tell you that.
You don't have to tell me, Mr. Summers. I know where to find Gloria Morgan.
You go away.
I can't very well do that.
I told you I would kill you.
So has everyone else, and I'm still alive. I want to see Colonel Lathrop.
You find out about that woman?
Yes.
You are going to tell them?
I was hired to. But I don't think that Gloria Morgan is going to hurt your mistress, Ptolemy. Now take me to the Colonel.
Come.
Colonel, Miss Lathrop.
Mr. Paladin.
Come in, come in.
Well, how's your patient, Mrs. Lathrop?
Pablo is well, thank you. That'll be all, Ptolemy.
Yes, Mrs. Lathrop.
Well, were you successful, Mr. Paladin? Did you find Gloria Morgan?
Yes.
Well, where is she?
Perhaps it's more important to know who she was rather than where she is, Colonel.
I know who she was.
I doubt it. I talked to many people, and few agreed as to exactly what she was. Some alleged that she was a strumpet. Some held to the contrary. And others thought that Gloria Morgan was a victim of a rather ugly set of circumstances over which she managed to triumph.
What circumstances?
She was abandoned in a mining camp by a man who'd brought her there under the pretense of marriage. No money, no friends, no one to turn to. She did the best she could. She sang and danced in the saloons. She shared in the money that men spent for the pleasure of drinking in her company.
Is this distressing you, my dear?
No. Go ahead, Mr. Paladin.
Well, apparently Gloria Morgan managed to do these things without compromising her essential integrity. 2 men wanted to marry her, and she rejected them both. But as far as I could learn, both men are still in love with her.
Go on, Mr. Paladin.
Many others still love her for her generosity. Now, I'm trying to crystallize my impression of Gloria Morgan as I learned to know her, Colonel.
And that impression is?
That she was a remarkable woman, whose friendship I would have considered a high honor, Colonel.
Please go on, Mr. Paladin.
Gloria Morgan's married today.
Happily?
Unhappily. I'm sure it was a good marriage to a proud man until he received information exposing his wife's past in the worst kind of light. So out of hurt, arrogant pride, he planned to punish her by having a third party confront her with proof of her identity in his presence.
That will be quite enough, sir.
The scheme was unworthy of the man, Colonel. Now, I have an idea that he was still in love with his wife, but he was sick in his mind. And the pity of it all is that if this man had approached his wife in a reasonable manner, I'm certain she would have told him all he wanted to know.
Yes, I'm sure she would have done that. But my husband paid you to make a report, Mr. Paladin. Why don't you make it?
The whereabouts of Gloria Morgan? You want to know where she is, Colonel?
No, Mr. Paladin.
It's just as well. The Gloria Morgan of Boomtown days is dead. Do you believe that, Colonel?
Yes. Yes, I believe it. Excuse me.
Let him alone for a few moments. Then go to him, Mrs. Lathrop.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paladin.
Terribly sorry.
It's quite all right. It's entirely my fault.
Oh, on the contrary, I wasn't looking where I was going.
We could debate the matter if you'd care to join me for a cup of coffee. My name is Paladin.
I shan't forget your gallantry or your intriguing invitation, Mr. Paladin, but I must hurry along. Good day.
Good day. We will meet again.
Of course we shall.
Oh, Mr. Paladin, when you come back to San Francisco?
Last night, hey boy, you're just the one I want to see.
Oh, then why don't you look at me?
That lady just going up the stairs. When did she come to San Francisco?
Oh, 3 or maybe 4 days ago.
She's in what suite?
Mezzanine suite. But,
well, I'll want theater tickets for tonight's performance.
Mr. Paladin.
And after you get those, see the chef. Now, a small supper, something very special with wine for 2 people, served in my suite.
You better make it 3, Mr. Paladin.
Why?
Him.
Who?
Big man over there. He her husband.
Husband?
Husband. He's a bad turn of events, eh, Mr. Paladin?
Well, I hope he appreciates her. Never mind the tickets, hey boy. But have the chef lay on a supper for 2 anyway.
Well, what do you do? Who you have dinner with?
I don't know. Don't you ever get hungry?
Me?
Why not?
Me?
We don't have much time to talk like we used to.
It's true, but me? Supper?
And you can tell me about that remarkable man, your uncle.
He's shall we say 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock will be fine.
Have gun. Will travel. Created by Herb Meadow and Sam Rolfe, is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and stars John Dehner as Paladin, with Ben Wright as Hayboy. Tonight's story was written by Michael Fessier and adapted for radio by John Dawson. Featured in the cast were Jack Moyles, Lawrence Dobkin, Virginia Gregg, Eve McVeigh, Lillian Bayef, and Frank Gerstle. Hugh Douglas speaking. Join us again next week for Have Gun, Will Travel.
In 1957, Have Gun Will Travel, starring Richard Boone, took to CBS television. But in November of 1958, John Dehner rolled out the radio version of Have Gun Will Travel. April 12, 1959, Have Gun Will Travel on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. When we continue, we'll have an episode of Night Watch, taking to the mean streets of Culver City, California. But first, these messages. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Before that innovative television program Cops went on the air, reality television, reality radio existed. Night Watch, that aired from 1954 to 1955, and donn-reed, a local reporter, took a suitcase-sized tape recorder, which was micro-miniature at the time, onto the streets of Southern California, primarily in Culver City, California. Let's listen to this episode of Night Watch, April 12th, 1954.
"5-6 to Control 1, reporting in service. Starting mileage 7833, 7833. Officers Perkins and Walter."
Roger, 5-6. 6:03 p.m., starting Night Watch.
This is donn-reed. I'm a police recorder riding with this detective unit just reporting in service on the Night Watch. You're going to ride with us tonight.
156, contact Lieutenant Lugo on car 50 at Washington and Overland. Regarding a 311.
5-6-10-4, we're in the area now.
A 311 is indecent exposure. Be on that case in just a few moments. But as I started to say, you're going to ride with us tonight and follow our investigations. And just remember one thing. The people you hear are not actors. This is it. This is real. This is what happens on the Night Watch.
Night Watch, the actual on-the-scene report of your police force in action. There are no actors, there is no script. Every voice, every sound is authentic. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. Night Watch is presented with the cooperation of the Police Department of Culver City, California. W.N. Hildebrand, Chief. We switch you now to car 5-6, already on investigation in the field, and your police recorder, donn-reed.
We're approaching Washington and Overland Boulevard now, where we'll meet Lieutenant Lugo of the Uniform Division. Straight ahead, I can see his car parked in a gas station. Lights off, waiting for us. Here we are. Now, let's get over there and see what's up.
Perk, the reason I wanted to see you is that I have a complaint here from a woman. This particular man exposed himself to her, and I have the license number here. I've run the DMV on it, and this is the name and address of the person. I'm sure she can identify him. And I wonder if you and Walter will follow this thing up and go pick the man up.
Okay, right. You got the address there?
Yes, it's right on this piece of paper here.
Okay, fine. We'll go right out there.
Swell.
You heard the lieutenant assign us to this exposure case. In plain English, this means we're going to pick up a suspect who evidently has exposed himself indecently in front of a woman victim on a public street. So, let's get back to our car and get underway. We've been driving for better than an hour, and as the suspect in this case lives in another city some 30 miles away. A moment ago, we stopped at a local police station and picked up another one of their officers to go in with us. This is customary courtesy when you're working out of your district. It's just a matter of blocks now, but before we do, I want to lean over the front seat here for just a moment. Sergeant, I noticed that when the lieutenant assigned us to this case, he seemed a little more concerned than usual. Any particular reason?
Well, yes, Don. I think what he had in mind was that in this type of a case where you've got a man exposing himself to either women or children, you've got a man that is usually mentally ill. And this coupled with the fact that many serious crimes, including even murder, will start with this kind of a background. Now, it doesn't have to be premeditated, but quite often the victim will scream or will fight. And as a result, the suspect, in his panic, he may injure the victim or do her great bodily harm. And even in some cases, as I said, the results will be homicide.
I see. That's why Lieutenant Lugo is so anxious that we pick up this person.
That's it. Let's see, this should be about the house along here. Wait a minute, that looks like the car out there. Yeah, this is it here.
This is it. Okay.
Kurt, I'm going to cover the back door. Do you want to go in the front with the lieutenant? Yeah.
Approaching the house now. Young lady coming up to meet us at the door. The suspect is stretched out on a divan, listening to the radio. Young fellow, nice looking. In the corner, a couple of young girls playing with dolls. The police lieutenant from this local city right here is identifying us.
Thank you. Here's my identification.
The gentleman from Culver City? Is that your file, Frank? Yeah. I'd like to take you along back to Culver City for some questioning with regard to crime that occurred in Culver City.
Do you suppose I'll be able to go to work tonight?
You won't make it tonight.
Isn't it funny, Sergeant? He's not even curious why we're picking him up.
He knows why we're here.
Yeah, but if I were being arrested, I'd at least ask why.
That's an important piece of evidence. He knows he's committed a crime, so he's not even going to ask why.
Is the young lady here his wife?
No, I was just talking to her. That's his sister-in-law. Seems his wife works. We'll talk to her later.
What about the two youngsters over here? They belong to him?
Yeah, he's the father of two children.
You know, somehow he doesn't fit the crime. Nice looking, well dressed. Could be the young fellow that lives next door.
Here he is. You ready to go, fella?
Where you going, Daddy? Well, gotta be back. Go see Mommy. I'll see you. Right back.
Well, we have the suspect in custody and heading back now for our car. We'll ride up in front with Sergeant Perkins. Detective Walter will sit in the back with the prisoner.
Thanks. Appreciate very much for your cooperation, your department's cooperation.
I'll give you guys a ring on that deal. I'm very glad to have met you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lieutenant.
If we can help anytime, let us know.
Okay.
Good night, sir. Good night.
Accused of in Culver City in the last couple of days. My wife works over there to pick her up. What time do you pick your wife up? Well,
You picked up.
oh, I don't.
You have no idea at all? Why don't you think a little bit about what's happened? Start giving us the truth. You know why we're down here just as well as we do. We wouldn't come down and pick you out of 3 million people in the county of Los Angeles if we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
You know that. So why don't you tell us?
Well, I can well imagine. There's only one thing that I could possibly imagine what it would be, and I can't imagine it could be that.
What is it that you imagine?
Well, why don't you tell me, and then if you're right, I'll tell you.
Well, you know why we're down here. Why don't you tell us? We've heard this story before from others, too.
Well, I haven't committed any crime that I know of.
I hate to...
Well, what have you done?
Well, I'm kind of embarrassed about the whole thing.
Doesn't embarrass us any. We've talked to people before on the same subject.
Well, a girl on the street corner saw me last night when I was... do I have to say it?
I have to say it. You tell us. What were you doing?
Sounds kind of silly when you say it.
Did you expose yourself to her?
Well, I didn't expose myself to her. I think she saw me.
What were you doing?
But I didn't intend for her to see me because I didn't see her standing there until I turned around, and then she was standing there. I guess she was waiting for a bus or something, and so I turned right away as soon as I saw that she was standing there.
You mean you had your private parts exposed?
Yes.
When the girl was standing alongside the car?
Well, I suppose she was. Either she walked up or she was standing there. I didn't notice her.
Did you try to attract her attention to you?
No, I didn't. I went around the block and I came back by to see if she, was looking, trying to see whether she had noticed or not, but...
Have you ever exposed yourself in the car just to yourself?
Possibly.
Well, do you do it when you're driving, too?
I suppose maybe I have at one time or another, but I mean,
Do you feel this urge to just stop and park all by yourself?
Well, occasionally, yes, I might say so. I kind of have my own views about that, and I feel I want relief. Well, that's the easiest way I know to get it. We all do stupid and silly things sometimes, and each one has their own faults.
When you get this urge, do you ever stop to consider the surroundings or the area in which you're in, or anybody being able to see you?
Well,
or is the urge
I might say, well, naturally, I mean, to a certain extent, I don't make any bones about heading off someplace to try to get some particular spot or so on to do it. I always try to be very careful about having no one see me. Naturally, I mean, you don't want anybody to see you do anything like that. I certainly never thought that I would ever be picked up for doing anything like that.
Against the law.
You mean it's against the law if nobody sees you?
Let's say somebody saw you.
Well, I know, but I mean...
That's why we're down here, to pick you up.
Naturally, I understand that.
We wonder how many cases have happened in the past in various localities that the police were not fortunate to obtain a license number or a description of the car, where there are outstanding crimes have been committed. 5-6, in with 1. We open the booking door.
Edinburgh 5-6.
You are listening to Night Watch and following the activities of a detective unit on their tour of duty. The people you hear are not actors, and every voice and every sound is real. The investigations are recorded as they actually occur. We will give you the final results of tonight's case at the conclusion of The Night Watch.
April 12, 1954, Night Watch on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Night Watch, April 12, 1954.
And now we switch you back to police headquarters and police recorder donn-reed.
We've been here at headquarters for over an hour. The prisoner has been booked and placed in his cell. The suspect's wife has been called to the station, and Sergeant Perkins and Detective Walter are in the office now discussing the case with her. Let's go on in. She's sitting at the desk, small in stature, early 20s, modestly dressed, attractive, sort of a bewildered expression on her face.
He does park the car, and then he goes with these fellows that he shares a ride with.
What
Where did this occur?
What?
Where did this occur?
Here in Culver City.
I mean, he's not even in this vicinity.
Doesn't he ever come up in this area?
Well, no.
He doesn't?
I mean, unless he comes after me.
I see.
And then I'm never at work that late.
Uh-huh.
This is
what time
the reason we're late tonight is because I was trying to get information on him tonight.
Mm-hmm. And what time did he pick you up last night about?
It was about 6:30.
Did you notice anything unusual about him last night?
No.
Was he at all nervous or anything?
No.
Well, he was involved in an incident last night prior to the time that he picked you up.
I just can't imagine that.
But how long have you been married?
4 years.
4 years. Have children?
Yes, I have 2, and I'm expecting another one.
May I ask you a personal question?
Certainly.
How do you and your husband get along?
Perfect.
No disharmony or trouble?
No, we've always gotten along perfect. Were these children or grown-ups or what?
Well, these were adults.
Well, I'm just shocked. I mean, we have 2 children. I guess you saw them when you picked them up. My sister said they were crying. But, I haven't noticed anything different about him. He's always the same. He's very attentive to the children and myself. And he's been a good husband, and a father. I've never deprived him of anything, and I can't imagine anything like this. When could I see him or talk to him?
Well, it would be better if you wait until Monday before you see him. So if you feel that you want to get a lawyer?
Can't afford one.
Well, I don't think you absolutely need one until we finish the investigation, and you can see where you stand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that you need a lawyer, you can hire yourself one. Or, if necessary, you can continue the service of the public defender.
So he'll be held here?
He'll be held here, and if you want to contact the department Monday, I will have more information regarding it. Okay, we'll come along with you, man. Good night.
No, thank you.
Is Lieutenant Lugar in his office?
No, he's on the way forward here, please.
Okay, wait a minute. Here he is now. Never mind. Lieutenant Walter and I have been talking to this fellow, and he admits the accusations in the case. He appears to be a fairly intelligent man and normal in all appearance, but talking to him, well, you can tell he's got quite a psychiatric problem there, that something should be done on it. Now, we're just about ready to make out the reports on him and wanted to talk to you to see what you recommend in it.
Well, Perk, you've checked into his background, and if he has a problem, I would suggest that you mention that in your reports and to the district attorney, and possibly it may lead to giving him some help in his particular case.
He is perfectly willing to get the help. He wants the help. He has no prior criminal record, but talking to him and his background, well, you can see he has this problem that has existed for some time.
Say, excuse me, Lieutenant, while you're making out these reports, I'd like to go over for a moment and talk with the prisoner about some of the points you've discussed here just now. Sorry with you.
Surely, go right ahead.
Fine, thanks.
One thing on the report before I get it out. We must do this way.
You know, of course, that all your statements have been recorded for police testimony as well as for the radio program Night Watch. And I'd like to have your permission to use this entire case for broadcast purposes, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
Now that you're alone here in the cell, I'd like to know how you really feel about this thing. Oh, I don't want to discuss the possibility of mental illness or that you're a family man, wife, children. However, I noticed in the car you stated that you felt that you had not committed a crime. I think now that you realize that you have. But somewhere, possibly, there are other people suffering from this same compulsion. So if you had a chance to speak of your experience, what would you say to them? What would you tell them?
All I have to say is that if there's anyone, if this happens to strike anyone that might be listening to it, just if you can take anybody's word for it, take mine. That it isn't any of it worth. It just isn't worthwhile. No matter what the crime may be today in that line, and no matter what satisfaction a person might get out of it, it certainly isn't worth. It isn't worth an ounce of what you have to go through if you should ever get caught. Now, I want to say this much, that I've been treated pretty nice by all the officers since I've been here. But boy, when I come into your house and you wait and go to work, and they tell you, come on, let's go. Don't even take a belt with you because they'll take it away. That right there is enough proof that it isn't worthwhile.
Okay. Good night.
You have been listening to Actual Investigations as recorded from Detective Unit 5-6 on The Night Watch. And now back to Police Headquarters and Chief W.N. Hildebrand.
Tonight's case involving the indecent exposure brings to mind that these suspects remain at large for long periods because the victims either feel embarrassment and fail to report the incident or provide the police with little or no description. In that event, your law enforcement officers are powerless to apprehend them. We must depend on the citizen and their cooperation to control this problem. In the case heard tonight, it was apparent the suspect was in need of mental treatment. This fact was included in the officer's report, and the court directed the prisoner be given treatment as part of his sentence. Consequently, when this man is released, he'll be ready to take his place in normal society. It is my honest opinion that the average citizen does not realize the real problems facing the law enforcement officer today or the dangers they encounter to maintain public security. That's why we are bringing you the facts as they actually happen. If we succeed in bringing this message to just a few, then our efforts will be well rewarded in presenting Night Watch.
Thank you, Chief Hildebrand. You have just heard on-the-scene reports of your police force in action. Every voice, every sound has been real. Night Watch, brought to you through the cooperation of your police department of Culver City, California, is produced by Sterling Tracy and Jim Hedlock, with technical advice by Sergeant Ron Perkins, and described in the field by police recorder Donn-Reed.
April 12, 1954, Night Watch here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. Contact me, find our social media links, buy me a copy to help us acquire additional classic radio collections and keep our distribution channels up and running. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.